of cancer diagnoses in specifically in the US, but all over the world is has increased almost 4 times as it was, say, like in the 70s. Well, today I want to talk to you about one of the reasons and some of the culprits of why that is happening. You are not mistaken. Yes, the diagnoses are arising. Hi, my name is Charlotte. I am a certified health coach, and I do this because I want to help people understand, especially those who have been diagnosed, want to prevent diagnosis of cancer, because I am a 13-year conqueror, I say, because anyone can survive. I believe in thriving. And so today I want to talk about some of the reasons why we're seeing, especially here in 2025, the explosion of cancer diagnosis. And so here we are in October, which, if you notice, every October it just ramps up the amount of advertisement from various organizations, from your, American Cancer Society, Susan G. Komen, all of these organizations, St. Jude, all of these organizations that perpetuate this during October. So I wanted to be able to share with you today some of the things that people may not be aware of regarding this push. And it's not just in October, but October predominantly is Breast Cancer Awareness Month. And I do encourage people to check themselves, because you are the best judge of your own body. Mammograms are not going to do it. As a matter of fact, some mammograms make it worse if in fact there is a tumor. So I want to dive into this because some of the reasons why we're seeing this explosion of cancer diagnosis all over the countries, not just this country, USA, but in the world, we have to look at the source. And if some of the sources that claim to be helping, claim to be, caring about, you and your loved one or yourself that's going through a diagnosis, but on the other hand are actually contributing to the spread, that's a problem. And so I wanted to come on here and I wanted to share my own experience and what I have learned in terms of that whole market. Because let's be honest, every sickness and every disease is profitable, because people do not want to see you healed. I mean, can you imagine a world in the United States where there was so minimal sickness because people were healthy, because they actually focus on the root as opposed to the symptoms? It would be amazing. However, it would not be profitable. And so I want to be able to share with you our scripture for today is in Galatians, and it says that do not be mocked, for God is not mocked, for God is not marked. Whatever a man sows in his heart, that he shall also reap. And the interesting thing about this scripture, it's telling us that God will not be mocked, meaning that God has our back. If you are living righteous, if you are standing true to his word, if you are not, trying to manipulate, hi guys, good to see you. If you're not trying to manipulate, this is important for us to know, because if you have a loved one that has ever been diagnosed with cancer, if you yourself have ever gone through a diagnosis, if you have, everyone that I know, let's be honest, the statistics now are 1 in 8 women will be diagnosed with breast cancer. 1 in 8. That is staggering compared to when I was younger. You rarely ever heard about cancer. You rarely ever heard about most of the diseases that we hear today. And the culprit is this, because we are not only doing a disservice to not do our due diligence, but we are continuing in the deception that is running rampant throughout this nation. And it really starts with some of the things that are being perpetuated by the very ones that claim to want to help us be more aware, to not only be more aware, but to also be more just tied into that whole market of, all of the big names that really perpetuate this. But what I learned was that if you do a deep dive into some of the organizations that, say that they really help people who have been diagnosed with cancer, Do a deep dive into their sponsors. And if some of the sponsors that you see are actually some of the products that they put out that are actually causing cancer in the first place, I would question that product and that organization. And that's some of the hard truths that I had to find out on my own. When I started doing a deep dive, this was many years, over 10 years ago, to find out what is the problem and why I'm seeing so many cancer diagnoses rise. I mean, from all across the gamut, not just people that are in their 60s, but people that are in their 30s, people that are in their 20s, infants. We see infants diagnosed. It all comes back to the food supply. It all comes back to the water supply. It all comes back to the environment that we're being exposed to. And if we are not smart about it, we will overlook those things. So some of the things that I found out were some of the big names. I mean, I supported the Susan G. Komen movement. Oh my goodness, did the walks and all of that. However, when I did a deep dive into who sponsors, who really pays, who funds it, because I always say this: follow the money. When you follow the money, you will see the source. And it really, initially it hurt me, but it empowered me to say that, oh, okay, so this is now a huge market or has been a huge market for decades. And so if we are not, we cannot be deceived into thinking that these organizations really care about us, the individual that's actually going through a diagnosis. Trust me, I know what it's like. I've gone through the diagnosis with breast cancer specifically 13 years ago this day. I've never had a reoccurrence because I started to do my own research into what actually contributed to it that was outside of my control. Now, there are some things that may contribute to it that we, it's in our control. If we're heavily into, have a lot of emotional trauma, if we don't empty out our mind and have an avenue to really, release the stress, and even if you have pent up anger or bitterness or unforgiveness, all of that can contribute to your emotional state. And your mindset is very key in terms of cancer diagnosis. There are tons of reasons why, but if we can knock out and really eliminate some of the things that we are exposed to and some of the organizations that are perpetuating it, we can take back control of what we will support and what we will not. And the biggest way that we do that is with our dollar. Our dollar has power, or what we spend, meaning your card, whatever it is. But that speaks volumes as to what you purchase and what you do not. So I encourage you to do your own due diligence. Don't be deceived into thinking that these organizations care about you or your family, because they do not. Because if they did, why would they continue to perpetuate products that actually feed into the entire cancer diagnosis agenda? And yes, I believe it is an agenda. And I've seen it happen to numerous people over the years, young and old, and the outcome is the same. And the sad truth is that a lot of times you see not only the person go through conventional method, but they actually have a reoccurrence within a few years. I am so grateful to God that I have never had a reoccurrence. And it is to God be the glory, because He empowered me to learn about what's happening behind the scenes, to be discerning about some of the things that we're exposed to, because you can take back that power. The people that know your body the best has to be you. Your doctor can't know your body better than you. You know when your body is off and what it is that you need to give it in order for it to thrive. And so I wanted to really do this because we're in this month where it's being perpetuated. Now, do I say not do your due diligence and check yourself? Absolutely. Check yourself, but do your research. If someone is suggesting a mammogram, do the research. If someone's suggesting a biopsy, do your own research first. Because once you start down that trail, some of the consequences that can happen, trust me, because I was there. And some of the consequences that can happen after that, you can't turn around and go back. And so I encourage you to pay attention to the sponsors in terms of this whole entire, cancer diagnosis that is increasing exponentially in 2025 to be 1 in 8 women diagnosed with breast cancer. And it's even more for, I mean, I see more children now being diagnosed with cancer than ever before. And so it's important for us to not only know, but it empowers us to be able to thrive and take back control. We don't have to be sucked into a deception. Remember our scripture in Galatians 6 and 9. It says, God is not mocked, for whatever a man sows, that he will also reap. And so those that are sowing this deception, those that are sowing these agendas that are perpetuating this demonic disease. And at a point it does become demonic, because if it continues to rise and it never really gets to a point where, it's actually being lowered. Have you seen it lower in the last 5 years, 10 years? If anything, it's only increasing. So, guys, I wanted to leave you with this, just something, food for thought to think about while we're seeing the inundation this month, particularly about cancer awareness. It is great to be grateful. I'm grateful. I did a little short saying that, yes, I am incredibly grateful to be a 13-year cancer conqueror just this month. Because, as a matter of fact, my diagnosis was in October of 2012. And so I'm grateful to not only survive, but this is why I do what I'm doing, because I'm really passionate about helping you on your journey. If you've ever gone through a diagnosis, how to really support your immune system, how to really reduce your inflammation level, how to reduce your stress level, what it is that you need to be mindful of in terms of the products that you use on your skin, the bed that you sleep in, the rugs that you purchase for your home. All of these things play a part. And then you'll say, oh, Charlotte, is too much. Well, pick and choose what you want to do. I say to people when they say, oh, well, so it's so hard to eat organic, it's too expensive. Well, that's your choice. I'm just here to give the information. People, you make a decision as to what you want to do. But here's what I say. Either you want to pay on the front end in prevention, or you're going to pay on the back end in terms of medication, insurance premiums, doctor visits. So you choose. And so I wanted to really come on here and really share with you guys exactly what we need to be mindful of, and remember our scripture. God is not mocked. Do not be deceived. God is not marked. Do not be deceived. He's not mocked. For God is not for the for God is not a man that he should lie, nor is he the son of man. There's so much happening here in the park. Yes. People don't control their whatever. Anyway, God is not mocked. And here we have to be mindful of exactly what it is that we need to research in terms of those that are sponsoring and contributing to the diagnosis. So, guys, I'll see you next time. Listen, have a wonderful day and make sure that you do your due diligence. Don't be deceived. Take care.